a one-of-a-kind introduction to Collider Forces right now. I have the great pleasure of having Utkarsh Ambudkar on the show.
That's my name.
It's so beautiful to hear this. Those guitars have been hanging in there since the day I started using the studio, and I've never heard a single person play one.
Hey, Perri. Thank you for having me on the show. I had a bad hot dog last night, so I might have to go. And I'm sorry for what might happen to the bathroom in this building, but hopefully I'll get through this without blowing myself through the ceiling. Oh, Perri, got a show. It's called Collider. Oh, Forces. Of course, it's so beautiful. Like horses, which are technically beautiful, but also giant, terrifying beasts. It's true. We should probably start talking right now. It's your turn to speak.
Okay. I have many questions for you. But before I start with my little roadmap interview, you got to play a game.
Let's
this right
play it.
Here is our dice tower.
Love it.
We always start with a game called Dicey Questions.
Great.
I got 8 random questions here. You get 3 rolls on the tower, and whatever you roll, that's where we start.
And this is my game playing area?
Oh, yes. Up here. You know dice towers, don't you?
No, I actually don't. Wait, so I just drop it in?
And it'll come out into the grass.
That's
and
cool.
You know what this is inspired by, right?
Jurassic Park.
There you go. All right, that's the important thing.
He left us.
A+.
I don't know about this new one. I ride or die for ScarJo, but I don't know about this new one.
Admittedly, I'm always a little nervous when we get a new installment of the Jurassic franchise, but in Gareth Edwards, I trust.
Okay.
So I've got
Mahershala.
And Mahershala. I do love Mahershala. Johnny Bailey has my heart now.
Yeah, I don't know who that is.
Was that a...
Who's Johnny Bailey?
You haven't seen Wicked?
Oh.
Plays Fiyero in Wicked.
No, I didn't see Wicked.
Oh my, you must.
I know,
it's great.
I have to. I got 7.
7. All right. 7's a silly one. 7's our zombie apocalypse question.
Okay.
Let's say there is a zombie outbreak on the set of Ghosts. You could team up with 2 co-stars. Who do you choose that you think would give you the best chance of surviving the outbreak?
Zombie apocalypse song Ghosts. Which cast member's gonna help me survive the most? Ooh, I'm not wrong. Devin Chandler Long. He's the biggest and he's fucking strong. And probably Richie Moriarty, 'cause he's very good with a spreadsheet.
What's he doing with a spreadsheet to help you?
I think he can plan. He's like Jesse Eisenberg in that one movie with Woody Harrelson.
Zombieland.
Yeah, he's for sure the Zombieland guy. He's going to have a journal with rules.
Jesse Eisenberg has his rules, and those rules are legit, and they're often the things that are overlooked and do you in.
I need a strong guy and a smart guy.
Makes all the sense in the world. Smart picks right there.
Thank
all right.
you.
Second roll in
Here
the
we
tower.
go. Second roll on the tower.
All right. Can't get a 7 again. You get another roll.
Oh, here we go.
2.
2.
Number 2 is scene swap. I love this question. Sheila got it yesterday. If you could swap roles with someone in the cast of Ghosts, specifically to play one scene of theirs, who would you choose and why?
Ooh. If I could scene swap, take somebody's powers for one scene, it would probably be Flowers. I like her neurotic, non sequitur, beautiful, wonderful outlook on life. I would happily be Flower for a day or 10.
I will take that. She's got one of my favorite scenes of the whole season, too. It's when she outsmarts Trevor and Hetty.
Oh, my favorite.
It's
my
great.
favorite is in the Christmas episode where she's talking to Roman. And they have that wonderful little intimate scene on the couch. They just do such good work together.
Could not agree more. All right. Wrapping this up. What was that, number 4? Yeah. Number 4 is bucket list. I just want one item that still remains on your acting bucket list.
I am who I am. Wanna do a movie with Jean-Claude Van Damme. If I don't get to do one, I'll be sad. I wanna do a movie with JCVD so bad. I wanna do an action flick with him.
That's fair. I have a new movie that's coming out this weekend on my mind right now. It's called Fight or Flight. It stars Josh Hartnett. And that director, it's his first feature. He's done a lot of
That movie looks great.
Second unit directing, visual effects work. James Madigan. Find whatever he's doing next because his action sequences are just through the roof.
Okay, fine.
So much fun. So much energy.
As long as Van Damme's in it.
Can't guarantee that, but you never know.
Okay, what's up? What's
All right,
next?
we've hit the meat of the interview now.
Oh, boy.
Here's where we get into it. Every single Collider Forces begins with this particular question.
Okay.
I want to know the movie you saw, the performance you saw, personal experience you had, whatever it may be, that first made you say to yourself, I have to be an actor.
Oh, man, that's really, really tough. My intro into acting, honestly, dude, it was probably Jean-Claude Van Damme. It was probably watching like Bloodsport or Sylvester Stallone in Rambo or something like that and seeing that and being like, whoa, you can make believe, or seeing Rambo 2 where he had like an explosive bow and arrow. But if I'm, that's like when I'm a kid, right? Where we're like all Arnold Schwarzenegger crazy. But the performance that was like probably set me on my course for real was Saul Williams in a movie called Slam, which came out in the late 90s. It was a spoken word drama, and his performance in that blew me away. And I was like, oh, I think I want to do spoken word like for the rest of my life. So I started writing because of him. Went to New York, started doing stuff at the New York Poets Cafe. That led into hip hop, doing open mics. That led into meeting Lin-Manuel Miranda and the rest of the guys in Freestyle Love Supreme. Well, there was some hip hop theater before that. But anyway, then that led to an agent, which led to Pitch Perfect, which was music, which led to Mindy Kaling being her rapping brother on the Mindy Project, which led to like hip hop being the lifeblood of my career for many years. Before I got here, where my character Jay is the farthest thing from hip hop that you can get. But I would say Saul Williams' performance in Slam kind of like put me on a path that actually led to a profession.
Something I haven't seen. I love getting a recommendation that has to go at the top of my list. The next time I see you, I will have watched that.
I hope so. It blew my mind. It truly is one of those visceral experiences. It was for me. It changed my life.
I love that. I have so many follow-ups based on the roadmap you just laid out. One of the first things I did want to make sure to hit, especially because Sheila was in here yesterday and we were talking about her time at NYU. First question I have is, did you two ever cross over at Tisch?
Yeah, Sheila and I did the big play together. We did, it was, excuse me, a devised theater piece, which basically means, I actually still to this day don't know what it means. We did all these workshops together. We auditioned, and it took a year to put together this play. We did a bunch of exercises. It was right after 9/11. So it was very politically driven. And Sheila and I basically spent a year together doing this huge play. Everyone in school auditioned for it. Us and a few other people had the sort of privilege of being in it. And it was called Youth in Asia, a techno-fantasia on national themes, sort of an absurdist comedy. And I was doing hip-hop even then, when I was 18 or 19. So my character was kind of like a rapper, spoken word guy. I can't quite remember what Sheila's was, but yeah, we spent the whole year together.
Does that mean you were in the same acting studio together?
No, we weren't. This was like a school Tisch-wide show. It was like a big deal.
So which studio were you in?
I was in Adler, and I believe she was in Playwrights Horizons.
Yes, she did say that.
She was a year older than me, and I had a massive crush on her. Oh my gosh, Sheila in college, still, she's awesome to this day. We have a very different dynamic now.
Yes,
but back then, she was like the older, she was the junior, and I was this freshman maybe or sophomore. So like at that age, 20 to 18 is like a huge difference in age. I was a very young 18. So I was just like, oh my gosh, she's so cool. She's so talented.
Very much understand being in awe of her. So big question, when you commit to going to NYU, when you first started, what did you picture yourself doing with your degree in the end? And ultimately, how does what you did after graduating compare to that initial vision?
Yeah, look, I'm pretty much doing it. Like I kind of got really lucky. Met the right people, made the right mistakes, failed upwards where I needed to, or fell flat and learned from my mistakes. But yeah, the goal was to be a professional actor. That's what it was. I wanted to get paid in some way, shape, or form to do this. I wanted to do music also, and I get to do that on my own time and with my friends. And it's pretty much, this is what it was. I remember I had a teacher who was like, do you just want to like be one of those actors who fritters away and ends up on a sitcom and Technicolor sitcom and you're making X amount of money an episode? And is that what you want to do? Or do you want to be a real artist? And I remember being like, hell yeah, dude, I want to bring joy into people's lives. And if I can alleviate stress and be a person who brings a little lightness of being into your life because of my work, I think that's art. I don't think I need to, do movies like The Revenant or stuff like that. I don't need and people find a lot of relief from watching like pain porn, also, whatever you want to call it, like trauma porn. They love that stuff too. That's not my strength. My strength has always been to see where the humor is and where the light is in a situation. So I kind of am doing it. It took a lot longer than I thought it would, but
I'll follow up on that. But before I leave the NYU of it all on Collider
NYU, great school.
It is a wonderful place to be.
New York University is very expensive.
It is.
I just spent a lot of time trying to forget what I learned there.
All right. Well, actually, this question could be a great point to follow up on. Can you tell me something you learned in that program that actually is useful to you now, that you still rely on, but I also want the opposite, something that all the schooling in the world never would have prepared you for when you hit your first professional set?
Sure. My physical connection to my body. The movement training that I got from a woman named Stephanie and Angela at Adler and another woman named Joanne and Joni. I was able to, the joke is you feel your feet with your feet. It's not a joke. They mean it seriously. I find it hilarious. Vocal training. Where in my head is my voice? Like how do I work outside in as an actor? All of those things, the sounds I make, the moves I make are so much easier having trained. What I wasn't happy about is that, I got into it for, as I said, joy. I'm here to make a regular person who's had a hard day feel better. I'm not in the business of sitting in an echo chamber of people who think that they're hoity-toities, being like, well, the lighting means this, and the metaphor of life that you failed to create with when your hand moved to the left. And I just think that if you had tonally changed slightly that syllable, we would have really been more effective. And it's like, yo, dude, I'm not here to compete with you. I'm here to make other people feel good. I'm not here to talk to magicians about how the magic is made. I'm going to go make it. And that's something that I believe is given from somewhere else. I think it's a connection that we all have to something special, to ourselves, to our true selves. It doesn't always manifest as art. Some people are accountants, some people are swimmers, but we have all of us, and I'm not saying we make money off of the one true thing that makes us special. I'm really lucky that the only thing I can do is the thing that feeds my family. But I had to forget that level of critique in order to remember how to play. And if I'm not playing, nobody around me is happy.
I love hearing someone's goals and intention for their work and then knowing, like, to my core that they have done it. Like, everything you've described with what you want to do is what Ghost accomplishes. And it's really something special.
It's a sweet, wonderful little show. It's not little, it's big. It's a big production with a lot of really cool and talented and very hardworking people that connects to millions of people every week. And it is special in that regard. Now, I don't know how I got to be so lucky, but I don't think that I understood how lucky I was until around season 2. We were dealing with the pandemic. On paper, you do this network show for CBS, and you're like, is this really like what I want to do? Like, there's all this stigma around network television. And then you walk out in the street and everyone's like, the love. What I want to do with my work is what I'm getting, which is to receive and connect with human beings who are moved and overjoyed by the work that we're doing. It's not like a show for the bottom floor at the Golden Globes. It's a show for people who've worked a hard day on a Thursday and want to come home and feel a warm hug. And I don't know how we do it. Our writers are great. I know I'm in the miracle. I don't know how it works. I don't question it. I'm just happy to be in it.
Oh, you are all doing just that for
people.
Yeah,
dude. It's cool.
I love it. I love it.
I'm just playing to fill time.
I like having this as like a transition to the next phase.
I can't just keep sitting here without using it.
Now you've set the bar for all future Forces guests. I'm going to expect someone to play something every interview.
They absolutely should if they can. There's basses over there. I can't play bass.
If they can is the key. I want to follow up on two things you just said. I don't want to jump into Ghost full force yet, but I don't want to forget this question. You said you didn't realize how lucky you were until season 2. Was that a specific moment that you kind of looked around and realized, like, what we're doing here is extra special?
You know, it's tough. We moved to Montreal to shoot during the pandemic. We got masks on at all times. You barely see your crew. There's so many, rightfully so at the time, stringent rules on what you can do. So isolated, and you didn't have the feedback from the fans yet. So you're shooting in an echo chamber, basically. And again, like, I'm coming from a very improv-heavy background. So I'm like, what, do we have to do what's in the script? You know, I'm a little bit more pushbacky than I think. I didn't trust the process at the time. I was very, like, I think, precious with my own performance. Specifically in it being able to be spontaneous. Like, I want to improv. I want to do jokes. I want to do me. This is why you hired me. And then I came home to LA, and the response, again, from people in the neighborhood, literally in my neighborhood, who are like, hey, are you, whoa, my daughter and I, my mom and I, you're my mom's favorite, you know, like that whole thing of just the groundswell of positive support. You're like, oh, wait a minute, like, I misread this. My perspective on this experience needs to drastically change. And it happened naturally. It wasn't like I had to be like, oh my God, you better get grateful. It was like, holy crap, this is awesome. Mm-hmm. What am I doing? This is so cool.
That's such
I
a
hope
special moment.
all of us have felt that. Yeah, it was really like walking in the neighborhood with my daughter and a neighbor being like, are you on Ghosts? And me being like, I am. And she's like, welcome to the neighborhood. And I was like, I've been here for several years, but thank you.
Oh.
It's like,
I was talking to my dad on the phone right before coming in here to do this interview, and like, I didn't even realize he watched the show. And he's like, Alberta's my favorite.
What's your dad's
name? And it made
name?
me so happy, Steve.
oh, Steve, you're the best. Oh, do you love Alberta? And the answer's yes. Ooh.
That's going to delight him to
Come
no
on,
end.
Steve.
To no end.
I got you, Steven.
I want to backtrack to something else you were saying before. Mm-hmm. After you left NYU, you mentioned that it kind of took a little while to get to where you wanted to be. Can you maybe give me an example of a time when the weight was weighing on you, where you're like, I'm not getting to where I want to be, and now I'm kind of afraid I can't forge forward anymore, but then I also want the moment where it clicked, where you're like, I'm here and I'm doing what I want now, and I feel like I have like a firm foundation?
You know, I think for me, like, I'm constantly in search of some new thing. It's a gift and a curse. And I think I've had those thoughts and feelings probably, I don't know, depending on how hard I'm working, every 3 to 6 months. I'm like, am I where I want to be? Is this it? What more can I do? How do I find a sort of more like a spiritual expression through this? You know, I started and it was like, I just wanted work. So I start doing commercials. I get a McDonald's commercial, and then I'm doing hip hop theater, and I'm young, right? I'm 19 or 20. So I'm working professionally, and I'm like, this will click. Then you get to like 25 or so, and you're like, okay, this isn't really working the way I want it to be, but I'm doing music and I'm still doing theater in New York. Then I get to 27 and I do a pilot for Fox, and I'm like, oh, cool, we should move out to LA. Pitch Perfect happens. And then sort of like, for me, like I'm sober a long time, but I wasn't then. So now you're like, I think I'm getting in my own way here with my sort of behavior with substances. And then that takes a toll for a few years. I'm not sure I've ever felt like, it's clicked. My moments of click are not with my career. It's like when I drop my 4-year-old, he's 5 now, when I drop my 5-year-old off at school and he's like, my dad's here. Hey, Papa. And he makes a joke and gives me a hug and a kiss. That's kind of like where I go, oh, wow, this is what they're talking about. This is that thing, that ethereal happiness that comes from nothing other than giving and receiving love with no expectation. In terms of a career, it's tough, man. There's like all the things you're tired of hearing, stereotyping and, opportunities for people of color and the hierarchy of what that means, like who can play what Hollywood thinks it's cool and what's bankable. It can be a very fickle, vapid, and incredibly exclusive town. No matter how successful you are, how much money you make, they still only give the keys to the castle to a few people. But those people don't know that I'm like way cooler than they are. And I don't really care anymore.
Can vouch for that.
I'm old enough and I got kids and my family and we've proven I just want my daughters and my son and my wife to be happy, safe, and my parents, and that's where I get that I'm okay. I'm where I'm supposed to be feeling from.
It's a beautiful answer. You just mentioned that there's certain things that they say in this industry that you kind of would rather not be expectations put on certain people, or I guess essentially like gatekeeping type of stuff.
Yeah, I wouldn't say it's expectations. I would say it's limitations.
Limitations. Can you give me, I'm going to give you a big two-part question again. Can you give me an example of a limitation that you see going away, that you see the industry improving with, but then also a limitation that you would most like to see smashed in the near future?
Sure. I think when I go to the movie theater, 90% of the people in the movie are people of color or like what you would call minority. And those are the people who are making a movie like Sinners, the #1 movie in the U.S. And like, when you read articles, it's like, well, Thunderbolts destroys Sinners. It's like, not really, Marvel. You kind of had half a win, but like Sinners is a original property written by and directed by an auteur who's deeply passionate about what he's doing with an all-black cast. It's not an anomaly. That's what people want to see. I love that Ryan Coogler had such a huge win. I think we're seeing a lot of change across the board in front of the camera and behind the camera. I think it's good. I think you have South Asians on almost every single show now. You have your medical shows where like the doctors are actually Indian, which is like what we are, dude, most of us. I think you see a lot more leading roles for women. I would love to see more diversity there, culturally, ethnically, racially, but I think it's moving forward. But, something that I'd love to see change, and this is so inside baseball, so for people watching, it's like, it's so low on the list of the problems in the world. I know that, okay? It's just the industry that I'm in, so it's more important to me than other people. But so this list comes out for Variety where they're like, Emmy predictions, baby. Like, who's going to get the lead comedy actor? And I'm on that list, and I'm happy to be on that list. I'm in the number 10 or 11. The problem that I have is that every name before me is a white male. And then you see this one gobbledygook, Utkarsh Ambudkar, where you're like, what? Did somebody misspell that shit? And then it's like 5 more names and David Alan Grier. And in the top 20 or 25, those are the 2 men who are, I'm going to call myself a man in this case. I think I've earned that right as a 41-year-old. We're the only 2 names on that list that are, we're the only chocolate chips in the batter. So that to me is like, what's going on? And there's a reason for that. Because we're not the only 2 men of color on television who are doing successfully. I mean, Cedric the Entertainer on The Neighborhood is one of the best performers in the history of Hollywood, and he perennially gets snubbed. You know, you have incredible actors and on both sides, men, women, and everything in between, who deserve recognition. And often I find that voters are just like, well, White Lotus is popular, The Studio is popular, what's the other show? The Bear is popular. Let's just, you know what? Let's just vote for that, because then I'm going to conform to what everyone else is doing and nobody will get mad at me. So Hollywood is a very like get in line and keep your head down and don't say or do anything that's going to make, I don't know who they are, but
I understand those frustrations. I get that. I get the thinking that this is like small in comparison to like the grand scheme of the problems that we're facing in this world.
We're talking about validation from people who have nothing to do with me. And so I don't actually derive my validation from them. But from just an objective business perspective, you're like, you guys are kind of fucking up my business by having yours be so one-sided. It's one of those things where like there's plenty of room for all of us.
And it still matters. I mean, look at what we think about Emmys and Oscars. If you're representing a certain type of person or even a certain type of story.
I don't think about Emmys or Oscars. I think about Nickelodeon Kids' Choice Awards, baby. Give me a surfboard. I want to be slimed.
I mean, that is kind of cool.
That'd be way cooler.
I think I'd rather be slimed than win an Oscar.
Wouldn't we all? No, most people wouldn't.
I do have a really cool award to get to that you did win from an organization that I'm a part of and very proud of. Before I do that, though, I got to touch on Pitch Perfect. Because I love that movie.
All the tempo blow your mind. Pick a verse, sunny verse, up in the down you today. We need a mountain team. How about you? With the eyes, I obviously still remember it very well.
Perfectly tees up my question, because I have to ask about that movie, because when you kind of, I don't know, crack that code and make a movie that winds up being timeless and connecting generations, it really is something special that should be honored. And do you know how many videos pop up on my TikTok feed where it's like kids in high school nowadays, like word perfect, repeating everything you have said in that movie and also every other actor?
The best.
I guess I'll hit you with two questions on that. At what point did you realize that Pitch Perfect, I guess, somewhat solved that puzzle, like figured out the recipe to making a movie that could stand the test of time?
I mean, look, that was the most fun. We were young. None of us were famous. The most famous person was Anna, but she wasn't like pop culture famous. She was like Oscar-nominated famous. And Anna and I did my first movie with her. It was called Rocket Science for HBO Films. Anna was awesome. But we all just like ran around Baton Rouge singing and dancing and went to New Orleans every weekend. Adam Devine, David Del Rio, who's on Matlock now, myself, and this guy, McIver, we just had fun. We went to Saints games. We just ate oysters and gumbo, and then they like put us on set where it was the exact same vibe. We had so much fun, and we got so lucky. Rebel Wilson, Brittany Snow, Anna Camp, a young Ben Platt before all the fame. We used to sneak him in through the back door of the bars because he was 17. Skylar Astin, who's got the voice of an angel. We had just a wealth of riches. And then all our guest stars, Elizabeth Banks has a huge part to play in that, or bringing all the people in that she knows to play guest stars. But it was so much fun that I think we just were like, this is so fun. And honestly, we improvised most of the movie. They gave us free reign. So often people come to me and they quote things that like I just made up on the spot. So I don't really remember. It's also been a long time now. So they'll say things like sonic boom. And I'll be like, what? But it was, I cannot believe how it stood the test of time. It's
really something to be proud of, and something,
it's really cool.
It ties into what you were saying before. It is a movie that made people happy when it came out, and now it's something that people who were seeing the movie in theaters then are sharing with the next generation. And there's no doubt in my mind that's going to continue.
I mean, it's so dope. It's really fun to just be in something that you made up with your friends and you were given, we were just kids and you rapping, dancing, singing. It was so fun.
If another filmmaker out there was like, I want to make, maybe not necessarily the next Pitch Perfect, but something that captures some of that magic, what is one tip you would give them? Something about that on-set environment and the way you approach the work that you think could help another movie looking to achieve something like that?
I don't know. I mean, you got to get Kay Cannon wrote it. You got to get one of the best comedy writers ever who's coming off of a run that is, unfathomable with which she was doing with Community and I think 30 Rock. Kay was like in her bag. And then you need some young, hungry improvisers who also happen to be able to sing, dance, and rap.
It's that easy.
Yeah, I don't know how we hit the pocket. It was really, really just magical because so many people blew up off of that.
Mm-hmm. The amount of Pitch Perfect stars that I've crossed paths with since that movie came out. And speaking of Skylar, one show that I really wish still existed is Zoe's Extraordinary Playlist. I thought that show was genius.
Oh, yeah, with Jane.
So smart. Yeah. So smart. So well done.
Fun.
I loved it.
Yeah.
I will jump to that award that I referenced next. It's one of the CCA Celebration Awards, the AAPI Cinema and Television Celebration.
Right, Critics' Choice Award.
And I'll just say, I'm a member of the Critics' Choice Awards. One of my favorite things that they've been doing more and more in recent years is doing these celebration events, which they're just they're some of the best speeches and community vibe events that I've ever been a part of. And I'm always so incredibly lucky to be in one of those rooms and grateful for the opportunity. There was a couple things in your speech that I really wanted to hit on. One of the first things is ghost related. You had mentioned that the only reason you were there was because Rose advocated for you. Can you tell me a little more about that?
Yeah. So look, I guess Rose, when she got the role, was like, my partner needs to be a person of color. I have to have some diversity there. We can't just do this. And from there, she had seen me rap at the Oscars. And Rose and my wife had worked together in New Zealand on Power Rangers. So they knew each other. And she was meant to come to my baby shower for our second. And because of COVID, she wasn't able to make it. But she was like, dude, you should probably do this TV show with me. So it came across my desk, couch, whatever, and I read it, and I thought it was really cute and very, very funny, a great concept. But at the time, I was coming off of indie movies and Free Guy and Brittany Runs a Marathon, and we were moving my career in a direction more towards film. So I said no to Ghosts initially. And every 2 weeks, 3 weeks, month, multiple times, Rose would hit me up dude, you got to do it. Bro, where are you? You got to do it. And in the meantime, I saw her performance in a show called Woke with Lamorne Morris, a dear friend of ours. And she's so good on that show. She's so effortlessly charming, that woman. I've worked with her now for 4 years. I see it every day. But at the time, yes, I still am in awe of it. But I was blown away the first time I saw her work. And so finally, pandemic, COVID. And I'm like, I think I blew it on Ghosts. I think we should go back and ask them for another chance. And so we did. And this is months later. And they hadn't cast it yet. Or the story I'm saying is they hadn't cast it yet. Let's just keep it at that. And Rose and I did a quick chemistry read for the big wigs. And the rest is history. But she lovingly badgered me to take that role. She was not going to take no for an answer. And so she was a huge part of that.
Her instincts were so spot on.
Thank God.
I cannot imagine that pairing, that character pairing, any different than what the two of you deliver in those roles. So that kind of tees up my next question about your speech quite nicely. So you had her support and her pushing you into doing Ghosts and committing to the show. There were some other people that you thanked in that speech that I feel like we don't talk about nearly enough in these types of interviews. You named a bunch of people and you thanked them for going to hell and back for you. And I believe you were talking about agents and managers.
Yeah.
And I feel like a lot of times someone can just assume an agent and a manager is just doing their job. They're just like, ticking boxes to get their clients work so that they could do their job. But it's a very different thing when someone who is reaching for a deeply personal dream, it's something different when they feel supported, when someone's not just doing their job, but doing their job in support of them. So can you tell me something about your team that speaks to that, how they go about doing their job in a way that helps you achieve your dreams?
Look, it's very tough when you have a client who doesn't fit into boxes easily or doesn't look like they belong on a show. And you have to get to know that client. You have an opportunity as an agent or a manager to get to know what makes that person special and also tell them when they're fucking up. And my agent, Nick Collins at Gersh, is somebody that I've had for a very long time, who took out a flyer on me when we were both kids. We were both just starting. He is now a partner at Gersh. He has made a life for himself that is so beautiful and special. And he has been with me through family passing when, I lost it. He's stuck with me through my journey with sobriety. He's been there for me, and he has created opportunities for me where there were none. The door was closed. And he opened it and he said, yo, you should really think about this guy. That's how I got White Famous on Showtime. That role was not written for an Indian character. There was no chance. There's so many no's that Nick has turned into jobs. And, Ali Obst and Sarah Shin, who are my managers at 3 Arts, they were there too. They came later, but they are people who have created opportunities for me and know me personally. They know my family. These are people who come to my house. They see my kids. They know my wife. They are people I tell the truth to, who tell me the truth, where Sarah's like, hey, man, everyone loves how much you improvise. No, they all are upset, though, that you don't seem to be respecting the scripts that you're given. I went in for a John Mulaney pilot years ago, and I just, did whatever I wanted. And she called and she was like, you got to stop this. I have people who are like, they tell me, they're like, you're not famous enough to not audition for this. You need to audition or you're not going to get it. This is not something we think you should do. If you don't do this, I remember there was a job where Nick was like, if you don't take this, I don't know what I'm doing with you. And I take it, and he's absolutely right. And they know 9 times out of 10, I'm just going to go, what do you think? Now, I kind of won on Ghosts because they came around to it. But they're supportive and they show up, and I deeply care about them as people. And it's because of what I've gone through where they could have easily been like, no, we can't. But they've stuck with me.
Mm. I love hearing about people having people like that at their back in this industry.
And nobody wants to hear about lawyers either, but I have a lawyer,
of
Michael.
Of the utmost importance.
Michael is a dog, man. Michael really, he makes everybody mad, which is what they're supposed to do. And they really take care of me and protect me. And they tell me because I'm a jobber, I'm like, I'll do it. And they're like, you will for this, or you won't. This is your worth. And you kind of need people, honestly, who tell you what your worth is. Because I just told you, they'll tell me when I need to work for something. Mm-hmm. And then they'll also tell me when I need to advocate for myself. So that's cool.
Oh, I love hearing. That's why I ask. I love hearing about people like that because that's the only way one can succeed in this business, just in terms of, rising in the ranks, but also feel full, like they have value and that they're feeling creatively fulfilled by the project that they're taking on.
Yeah, and they're open to it, too. They know when I get antsy or cranky, but it's a mutual respect.
Yeah, I feel we all need people like that at our
backs. Yeah, they're good. You guys are great.
Digging into...
You're all fired.
Yeah, you're right.
Digging into... You're rehired. Kidding, you're fired. You're rehired.
Digging into Ghost full force. I want to start at the beginning by going back to Rose, because one of my favorite things about a scene partner when you are playing husband and wife is how much of your own character you could find through the person playing your on-screen partner, your scene partner. Can you tell me the biggest difference between how you pictured Jay when you first signed on and who he became when you started to share him with Rose?
That's a good question. I thought Jay was going to be a lot more sarcastic and a lot more like sardonic, more cynical, dry, which I think he is to a certain degree. But Sam has, as Rose plays her, has turned Jay into much more of a dreamer. He's way more unconditionally loving. He's a lot more curious and silly. You know, there's a certain Joey Tribbiani aspect to him where he can get really kind of like giddy, which I did not see happening. So he's a lot lighter than I thought he would be. I thought a lot of the humor from Jay would come from deadpan, and it's almost the opposite. He's like a very animated guy compared to like, I mean, in my opinion.
Very animated. Just like the warmth you exude in that role too is just a particular quality that I've always latched onto. And just like the purity of their relationship, how much they love one another. And we'll get into this when we get later on in our season 4 conversation. But watching how this show has evolved their relationship and emphasized the growth that partners can experience when they do the wrong things, come to realize it, apologize, and then move on and build together. I feel like not enough shows are doing that or doing that as well.
And Rose is somebody who we have very different jobs on the show.
Oh, yeah.
We are next to each other. We're co-leads, but like we are the things that we have to cover technically are totally different. So for her, she's the story engine. First couple seasons, she needs to know where everyone is at all times, physically, when they're not there, when we shoot what we call ghostless passes. I'll shoot with you, you're a ghost, you leave, I shoot with you again to an empty chair, and I do that all day long. That's what she has to do because she can see the ghosts. So she is constantly aware of where we are in the script. And that is a lot of work mentally. My work is very time-consuming as well and can be quite tedious, which is while all that is happening, while she's talking to you, I'm over here filling up time with business because I can't talk to any of the ghosts. So I'll be like, on this line, because I have to do continuity, I'll unscrew this, do that, then I'll reach for my phone. So everything is hyper-technical physically for me, which, you know, is the hardest part. And so if I'm cooking, right, and somebody misses a line and we have to reset, that means I have to reset 8 things before I can start again, which I can imagine could be very tedious if you're like, I just want to do my line before I forget it. And I'm like, I know, dude, but I'm making pasta. I don't know what to tell you. This is like, it is what it is. So we are managing a lot of different things together. So finding the common ground took a little while. Also, I love to improvise. And Rose is very like script driven. So we found ways now. That's not true anymore though. She has a lot of fun. She's a very, I think, natural improviser. She's really funny, especially in this season 4. She's the cast member who made me laugh the most. I break the most with Rose.
Her as Nancy just
she tickles
destroyed me. It was probably one of the funniest things I think I've ever seen on television.
It's great. And I love that she feels comfortable enough to mess with me now. We're like on my coverage. She's not even on camera and she's trying to break me. And for me, I'm like, that's awesome. Like you feel happy enough and joyful enough in your expression that like you're trying to mess me up lovingly. Like I love those kind of games. And now I know too, when I'm planning something that is going to go off, I won't tell anyone else, but I'll always tell Rose. I'll go, I'm going to do this when I do that. Okay, shh, don't tell anyone. And she'll go, okay, mate, okay. I'll be like, right after this, I'm going to do that. So just give me some space. This is what I'm going to do.
Is there any particular memorable moment of that happening in season 4 you can recall?
Oh, man, you know, yes. I think in that last one where the ghost trap thing happens, you remember the guy comes with the ghost trap and I have a line that was improvised that they used where I said, maybe if we put it in rice. And that is something I know I would have said to Rose, probably not anyone else, but I would have told her what that was. I'm like, I'm going to say this. And then she go, oh, that's funny. And then we'll do that. And I love being able to include her in my little mischief now, as opposed to being catching her off guard.
So good. I love that episode. I want to go back a little before I start digging into particularly the final 2 episodes of season 4 to the Christmas special, the possession stuff. I love when you and Rose do those kinds of things. And I'm also endlessly fascinated by the variety of acting techniques out there. So in order to like tap into both, and I don't know if this is the way you approach the work. I might be off on this. But can you maybe tell me if you came up with like a button to push when playing Hetty and a button to push when playing Pete to kind of like switch them on? Whether, I don't know, maybe something like a specific word or a mannerism that would help you tap into them.
Hetty is a whoo.
Oh,
Ooh.
makes
But then
sense.
she's this, right? Hetty is this, hands. They're always like this, hands. Ooh. Yes. So that is Rebecca, right? It's so far from me, and physically she's so perfect. She just so created such an easy character to mimic. It's that strong. Richie's tougher. Vocally, we're the same. It's very, very similar. He doesn't have like a tick, a vocal tick. For him, it's physical. He's here. He's here. He's here. He's this. So I had to like, do some tricks, which is like, Pete wears glasses. Obviously, Jay doesn't. So a few of these things, a few of those things, like some neck stuff, forgetting that you don't have an arrow. So going through doors, still turning sideways. If you notice, I did that a couple times. But that was sort of like, Sam? Yeah, okay. That was Pete. Okay. And they were like, between Rose and I can't remember what her trigger word was, but she'd be like, guacamole. I think it was something like that. She had a trigger word. I want to say
she said Stuart at some point.
Stuart. That was it. Come on, Stuart. Yeah. So Rose is going, Stuart, and I'm going, okay. And we're just doing that back and forth over and over again.
So good.
Come on, Stuart. Ah, man. She was so good.
Both of you are exceptional with doing that kind of stuff. I do want to touch on the big old beating heart moment in that double episode, though, because it's very funny and entertaining for us. But then you have these moments where, and Ghost does this really well quite frequently, where it is so funny, and then all of a sudden, you just get swept up in the emotion, and you have a big beat when you're seeing Laura and you're hugging her. And I do know that Richie is in that scene a little bit, but I guess what is it like when you are not even playing your own character and you have to do a beat that ensures the audience feels the weight of one of the most important relationships in his life?
Yeah, I'm a papa. She's my baby. I love her. It's that easy. I'm so proud of my daughter. It's just that simple. And that actor whose name I'm missing right now, I'm so sorry. She was so giving. And it just so happened that she gives the best hugs. So it was she was easy to love also. And so, I know that's all it was. That's all it was. You just get simple, just tell the truth. In that moment, it was I'm lucky that I have some life experience that made it simple for me.
Such a powerful beat that you crush.
Before I go
to episode 21, just one looking forward theory question. If you had the opportunity to get possessed by a different ghost,
Flower. All day. I want Rose to get possessed by Isaac. I want Flower. I want to fucking do my little weirdo dance. Oh, and then what if as Flower, I'm trying to put the moves on Thorfinn? Come on. Wait, I wouldn't be able to see him though. But what if as Flower now, I try to have an orgy because I got in my body?
Oh, boy.
So we're like, Hetty was going for Cheetos. Flower's going for different kind of num-nums. And then Thorfinn and Sam have to decide if it's okay.
I would be quite amused by all of this.
I know.
I'll bring it all back to Flower when we get to the finale, too, because there's a curious little detail at the end that I wanted to ask you about.
Who's that guy? Who's he? I love how she just forgets who everyone is.
I love that, too. I said this to her yesterday. I feel like she hits the perfect balance between two things that seem very difficult to capture for me. The idea of her being a character that frequently forgets, but that has never stopped her from building Flower every single step of the way.
She's the smartest person in the house. She just messed up her brain a little bit. She fried it. Yeah, it's what happens. A little too much acid. But she's the smartest person in the house.
She is.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm fully behind that now. Yeah. Going into episode 21, this is where we get Kyle. And I mean, this kind of ties into what I was saying before with how much I love how this show winds up enhancing the relationship between Sam and Jay through what they're going through. Weird. I guess I'm going to ask you a million questions in one, but what was it like knowing you would get to play with that relationship via the Kyle storyline, and how do you think that kind of leaves Jay in terms of how he feels about his worth in the house, his relationship with the ghost, and his relationship with Sam?
Yeah, personally, I really did not like shooting that. It didn't feel very good. There's only one cuck in the house, and it's Pete. So I was like, what am I doing here? In no world would I allow this to go unchecked. And also, you feel bad because Jay goes about it the wrong way. It's so dishonorable to go sneaking around and stalking. And I know Bela had some part to play in that. But, Rose and I talked a lot about that. What does it mean? Trust has been broken. If Sam hadn't, at the last second, made a different choice, that could have been really bad for the couple. And it wasn't Jay had no part of that, right? There's no agency. It's essentially okay, so you either were going to cheat or you weren't, and I still had no part of it because I can't be connected to it. So I think there's a lot of self-worth stuff there. We're a comedy. It's not The Bear. So we are trying to tread lightly around it. I think, though, that will lead into, if there's an avenue into this whole idea of why he signed with a publicist, why he's trying to get the restaurant going, why he inadvertently sold his soul to the devil. You know what I mean? He's got a lot of stuff to get through in the next 2 seasons. I don't know if our boy Jay's going to stay alive. We'll have to see. I mean, Elias is coming for him. Sam now has a chance to protect Jay. So do the ghosts. And he's gone from somebody who joins the madcap scheme or gets caught up in other people's craziness. He's the one now who's made the huge mistake with literal life and death consequences. And so the whole house has to protect him. That
reveal at the end could turn Ghosts into Final Destination. That's all I keep thinking about, because essentially I would imagine it's going to be a multitude of Elias's attempts to
Dude, I got 44 episodes to stay alive. That's pretty much it. Or I have no idea what's going to happen to Jay. It's going to be wild.
So I'm very fascinated by all of that. And another one of my many favorite things about Ghosts is that every single time one of your characters is tested, they are tested with purpose. They need that test in order to grow. With
purpose, baby.
What is something about him signing his life away and what could lie ahead in terms of him trying to survive Elias? Why do you think Jay needs that? What do you think he has to gain from that kind of situation?
I think self-worth. You don't need outside. You don't need to be your competitor's thing. I just think it's also very funny. Come on, we're making a comedy, and I know Joe Port and Joe Wiseman, and I bet they're sitting there wouldn't it be funny? And then the meaning it'll be derived from it, but we're a comedy first. And the idea of Jay constantly having to dodge death traps for a whole season is funny as shit. So I'm excited to see all the things they cook up for maybe there's an alligator in the lake. That doesn't make any sense. But something. I want to see what Elias does. And Matt Walsh, who plays Elias, is obviously he's a comedy legend. So the more I can work with him, the better I become as an actor, which is, all I want. So that would be really cool.
I'm telling you, Final Destination is one of my favorite film franchises of all.
I can't wait for the new one.
It's good. You've
seen it?
I've seen it too many times.
Already?
Yeah.
The new one.
Come to our Collider Ladies Night screening of Final Destination tomorrow night.
The last one that came out was great.
Great. 5 with the suspension bridge.
5 was
and the brilliant tie-in at the end.
Come on.
Ooh, so smart. This one, I can assure you, is very smart. But I love that franchise as far as it exists in horror, but taking that concept and warping it with comedy, it really does sound like an exciting creative possibility to me.
Let's see. Touch wood. I think it'll be good.
I'm so into it. So just to look ahead briefly, I know you don't know what's coming, so theory department here, but at this point, Jay can see Sass in his dreams. He has that bromance with Pete. If you could pick one other ghost for him to, I guess, kind of spark his own unique kind of relationship with in season 5, who would you choose and why?
Maybe Alberta or Flower. They would be great. They have unique ways of looking at the world. And I think I want to work more with Danielle, and I always want to work with Sheila. I think that could be really cool. I think the easiest answer for storyline, which is why I don't want to take it, would be Trevor. But we already did some stuff together with the Michael Jackson thing. Jay and Alberta haven't really spent much time together in like a joint story, like where they're helping each other. And Flower and Jay really haven't either, except for when she got him high.
Here's my prediction. I do think that Jay's situation at the end of this season essentially tethers him to Flower, because if anyone has the ability to get him out of a contract, it's her.
I mean, that could be really cool. Danielle was saying in our FYC events this week, she wants to see us go to hell. She wants to see what hell would be like in the world of ghosts, which I think would be really fun. Like, what does it look like? Does Elias get Jay? Does he take somebody else down? Do we go into hell to maybe that's a different show? But like, how do we get a chance to go downstairs and see what it's like?
I can't believe I haven't even thought of that.
Could be cool.
It's incredible how, like, usually I'm trying to figure out, like, the lore and the world building of every single cinematic universe. But for some reason with Ghosts, I don't want anyone to get, like, sucked off or to go down.
This is a question, too, is then I'll ask you as somebody who watches the show, because it was brought to my attention. It was pitched to me. What happens if Jay dies? Becomes a ghost, stays in the house. What do we think about that? Is it super duper sad? Because Sam's a living still.
This isn't the exact same thing, but it's come up in a couple of my interviews. Like, I love the group of you. I love animals. I'm a big pet lover. And part of me wants to see the ghost get a pet, but it would be too sad for me to have to, whether I see it on camera or not, process the fact that a pet has to die in order to get there. I also think that would upend the spine of the show perhaps a bit too much for my taste.
I mean, it's tough because the story thing for the tool that Jay brings is he's the everyman. He's your window into what's happening. Like, a lot of people are like, what would I do if I was Jay? Oh, my God.
That's true.
And if he dies, ghost Jay? I don't know. Could be.
In the Joes I trust, if that's what they decide, I will have full faith that they could justify it.
I might end up dead, dude.
It also seems like there's still endless creative possibilities in terms of how someone in Jay's situation navigates this world, finds self-worth, and builds his own unique relationship with each of the ghosts. So too much creative potential there. All right, last question of Collider Forces. Every single one ends with this particular question. In this industry, we give each other awards. That is super cool. We should keep on doing that. But I find that nobody tells themselves good job as much as they should. I want to know something you did in season 4 of Ghost that you will always look back on and say, you know what? I'm really proud of what I did there.
What did I do that I'm proud of that makes me feel self-worth? What do I like about my work on that network? Maybe the Christmas episode when I told my dad nothing would have happened without him. And I got some nice tears in my eyes. Technically, it was there. Yeah, we got a little hug in. Yeah, I like that moment a lot.
You should be very proud of that.
That was a good episode. I'm happy with the way the emotion turned out in that episode.
I also like the fact that episode plays really well in that respect, and you could still feel it reverberating throughout the rest of the season too. I mean it.
Yeah.
I mean it.
Yeah. And then there was one line where something about Pete doing the sauce, where like we make the sauce. You know, they let me do silly things this season, and where we like make the sauce, and I'm like, I'm going to put it in the restaurant. And then Pete goes, please don't. And then I just go, yeah, man, like that. And they kept it in. Instead of being like, oh, man, they like let me do a little Tim Robinson. Yeah, man. And then I walked to the fridge and I saw that and I was like, thank God. Small victories, baby.
I love how we get the two extremes there. Seriously, you deliver big. I can't congratulate you and the team enough on this show.
And you have all been there since day one. We love seeing you at all the conventions. You are so good at your job. And you really hold it down for us, and I really, really deeply appreciate you. Thank you.
You saying that?
Heck yeah, you work hard.
You deserve the I work hard, and I feel inspired to work hard when shows kind of touch me as much as yours has. I'm going to say huge congratulations on everything you've accomplished on Ghost Season 4 and everything coming your way in the future.
Oh, shit, yeah.
Come back to Collider Forces anytime you want.
Heck yeah. Next time I need to go to get my teeth done or get a X-ray or MRI, CT scan, I'm coming here, baby.
You can tick all the boxes in our studio.
Yep.